The Wanderer touched down on a broken planet, its engines kicking up dust and ash. It was the 28th century, and this world was a graveyard of war, shattered buildings, twisted metal, and the faint glow of dying machines. Jeho, the ship's only crew, stepped out, his boots crunching on the rubble. He was a scavenger, tall and lean, with dark hair and a face hardened by years alone. His eyes, though, held a quiet kindness, hidden under a guarded stare. He lived for salvage, picking through wrecks to find tech to sell, but today felt different. The air was heavy, thick with the smell of smoke. Jeho adjusted his jacket, patched from too many close calls, and checked his scanner. It beeped, picking up a signal nearby, a faint pulse, maybe a power core or a broken drone. He slung his rifle over his shoulder and moved toward it, weaving through piles of debris. The planet was quiet, too quiet, and his gut told him to stay sharp. He climbed a hill of shattered concrete, his breath visible in the cold air. At the top, he saw it, a small escape pod, half buried in the dirt. Its hull was cracked, but lights flickered inside, weak but alive. Jeho frowned. Pods like this usually meant trouble, survivors, or worse, traps. He lived alone for a reason. People complicated things. Still, the signal was strong, and he couldn't walk away without checking. He slid down the hill, his boots scraping the ground. The pod's door was jammed, but he pried it open with a tool from his belt. Inside, curled in a corner, was a girl. She wasn't human. Her skin was a soft blue, shimmering faintly, and her eyes were large, glowing like stars. Her hair, long and silver, spilled over her shoulders. She wore a torn robe, and blood, green, not red, stained her arm. She was Solari, a race Jeho had only heard of, known for their grace and smarts. She looked young, scared, and very much alive. The girl stirred, her eyes locking onto his. "Please," she whispered, her voice weak. "Don't leave me." Jeho froze. His instincts screamed to walk away. He worked alone, always had. Helping her meant risk, maybe more than he could handle. But her voice, soft and desperate, hit something deep in him. He thought of someone he'd lost long ago, someone he couldn't save. He shook his head, pushing the memory away. "Stay quiet," he said, his voice low. "I'm getting you out." He knelt beside her, checking her wounds. Her arm was cut, but not too deep. He pulled a med patch from his pack and pressed it to her skin. She winced but didn't cry out. "What's your name?" he asked, trying to keep her calm. "Nari," she said, her voice a little stronger. I crashed here. They're coming." "Who's coming?" Jeho asked, but a sharp hum cut him off. He looked up, his heart sinking. Drones, small, sleek, and armed, hovered over the hill. Their red lights scanned the area, moving closer. Zykar mercenaries, he guessed. They were hunters, cruel and relentless, and they didn't chase escape pods for fun. Jeho cursed under his breath. "Can you move?" he asked Nari. She nodded, though her face was pale. "I'll try." He slipped an arm around her, helping her stand. She was light, her frame delicate, but she gritted her teeth and leaned on him. The drone's hum grew louder, their lights sweeping the rubble. Jeho glanced at the Wanderer, parked a short run away. "We need to move fast," he said. "Hold on to me." Nari clutched his jacket, her glowing eyes wide but determined. Jeho half-carried her, moving low to stay out of sight. The drones were close now, their scanners buzzing. One fired a warning shot, a bolt of energy that scorched the ground nearby. Nari gasped, but Jeho kept moving, his heart pounding. He wasn't a soldier, but he'd been in enough fights to know how to stay alive. They reached the Wanderer, its ramp already open. Jeho helped Nari inside, setting her in the co-pilot's seat. She slumped, breathing hard, but her eyes stayed on him. "Thank you," she whispered. "Don't thank me yet," Jeho said, sliding into the pilot's chair. His hands flew over the controls, firing up the engines. The ship roared to life, shaking dust from its hull. On the screen, he saw the drones closing in, and behind them, a larger Zykar ship descending through the planet's clouds. They weren't just hunting, they wanted Nari bad. The Wanderer lifted off, its engine screaming as Jeho pushed it hard. The drones fired, their bolts grazing the ship's shields. Nari gripped the seat, her face tight with fear. "They won't stop," she said. "I'm important to them." Jeho glanced at her, his jaw tight. "Then they'll have to catch us first." He banked the ship sharply, dodging another shot. The Wanderer wasn't built for war, but it was fast and tough, just like him. He aimed for the planet's upper atmosphere, hoping to lose the drones in the clouds. Nari watched him, her glowing eyes curious despite her pain. "Why help me?" she asked. "You don't know me." Jeho didn't answer right away. He thought of his past, the people he'd failed. He thought of her voice, pleading not to be left behind. "Because I can," he said finally, his voice soft but firm. The ship shook as a drone's shot hit the shields. Jeho gritted his teeth, pushing the engines harder. The Wanderer broke through the clouds, the stars coming into view. The drones fell behind, but the Zykar ship was still out there, hunting. Nari's hand rested near his, trembling but steady. Jeho felt a spark, something he hadn't felt in years. He didn't understand it, but he knew one thing: he wasn't letting her go. The Wanderer sped into the dark, carrying Jeho and Nari away from danger, for now. The Zykar were coming, but Jeho's resolve was set. He'd saved her, and that was just the start. The Wanderer soared through the stars, its engines humming after a narrow escape from the war-torn planet. Inside, the small ship was quiet, lit by soft lights and the glow of control panels. Jeho sat in the pilot's chair, his hands steady on the controls, but his mind raced. He had saved Nari, the blue-skinned Solari girl, from Zykar mercenaries, but danger was still close. The Zykar ship was out there, hunting, and he knew they wouldn't give up easily. Nari sat in the co-pilot's seat, her silver hair tangled and her glowing eyes dim with pain. Her arm, bandaged with a med patch, rested in her lap. She was weak but alive, watching Jeho with a mix of gratitude and curiosity. The Wanderer's cabin was cramped, filled with tools, crates, and the faint smell of oil. Jeho had carried her to a small bunk in the back, hidden behind a panel, to keep her safe while he checked the ship. "Stay here," he said, his voice low. He opened a medkit, pulling out a scanner to check her wounds. "You're hurt bad, but this should help." He sprayed a healing foam on her cuts, careful not to press too hard. Her green blood had stopped, and her breathing was steadier. Nari winced but managed a small smile. "You're kind," she said. "I didn't expect that." Jeho shrugged, avoiding her eyes. "Just practical. Can't have you bleeding on my ship." His tone was gruff, but his hands were gentle. He wasn't used to company, let alone someone like her, a Solari, elegant even in pain. He worked alone, scavenging wrecks, keeping his heart closed. But Nari's voice, soft and sincere, stirred something he couldn't name. "Who are you?" he asked, sitting back. "Why do the Zykar want you?" Nari hesitated, her glowing eyes flicking to the floor. "I'm Nari, daughter of a Solari diplomat. My father negotiates peace for our people. The Zykar, they want me for ransom. To force him to give up secrets." Her voice shook, but she straightened, proud. "I escaped their ship, but my pod crashed." Jeho's jaw tightened. The Zykar were ruthless, and a diplomat's daughter was a big prize. He'd heard of Solari, smart, peaceful, but rare in this part of the galaxy. Saving her just got more complicated. "Great," he muttered. "I'm stuck with a target." Nari's face fell. "I'm sorry." "You don't have to." "Stop," Jeho cut in, softer now. "You're here. We'll deal with it." He stood, checking the ship's scanners. The stars outside were calm, but his gut told him the Zykar weren't far. A sharp beep broke the silence. The scanner lit up, showing a Zykar ship closing in, its sleek form cutting through space. Smaller drones flanked it, their weapons hot. Jeho cursed. "They're fast. Hold on." He slid into the pilot's seat, hands flying over the controls. The Wanderer wasn't built for war, but it was quick and tough. Nari gripped her seat, her face pale. Can we outrun them? She asked. Not easily, Jeho said. He spotted a debris field ahead, a mess of wrecked ships and asteroids from an old battle. It was dangerous, but it could hide them. We're going in there. Stay sharp. The Wanderer dove into the debris field, weaving between chunks of metal and rock. The Zykar ship followed, its drones firing bolts that sparked against the wreckage. Jeho's hands were steady, his eyes locked on the path ahead. He banked hard, dodging a spinning hull fragment, then spun the ship to slip through a narrow gap. The Wanderer groaned, but it held. Nari watched, her fear mixed with awe. You're good, she said. Been doing this a while, Jeho replied, a faint grin on his face. But the Zykar were close, their drones gaining. He needed an edge. Nari leaned forward, her eyes on the comms panel. Their drones are talking, she said. I know Zykar codes. I can listen. She reached for the panel, her fingers shaky but quick. Jeho raised an eyebrow but nodded. She tuned the comms, catching harsh, clicking voices. Her face tightened as she translated. They're splitting up. 2 drones are circling to cut us off. Jeho's grin faded. Smart. Can you jam them? Maybe, Nari said. She worked the panel, sending a burst of static into the Zykar's comms. The drones paused, their signals scrambled. It wasn't much, but it gave Jeho a chance. He pushed the Wanderer through a tight loop, hiding behind a massive wrecked freighter. The Zykar ship lost sight of them, its scanners confused by the debris. Nice work, Jeho said, glancing at her. Nari's eyes glowed brighter, a spark of pride in them. They were a team now, whether he liked it or not. The Wanderer slipped deeper into the field, but a new alarm flashed. Jeho checked the sensors and cursed. They hit us with a tracker. It's on the hull. They'll find us again. Nari's face fell. This is my fault. No, Jeho said firmly. It's theirs. We'll handle it. He plotted a course out of the debris field, aiming for a nearby star system. They needed a safe place to remove the tracker, but for now, they were clear. The cabin was quiet again, the stars steady outside. Nari shifted, her hand brushing Jeho's as she reached for a water pack. Thank you, she said, her voice soft. For saving me. For trusting me. Jeho felt a spark, warm and strange, in his chest. Her touch lingered, her glowing eyes locked on his. He wasn't used to this connection, care. He'd been alone too long, guarding his heart after loss. But Nari was different, brave despite her fear, and he couldn't look away. Just doing what's right, he said, his voice rough. He pulled his hand back, focusing on the controls, but the spark stayed. Nari smiled, small but real. That's enough, she said. The Wanderer flew on, the Zykar temporarily lost. Jeho and Nari were safe, but the tracker meant more danger was coming. Their trust was growing, built on shared risk and quick thinking. Jeho didn't know where this was going, but he knew one thing, he wasn't letting Nari face it alone. The Wanderer docked at a bustling space station, its engines quiet after a tense escape through the debris field. The station was a maze of metal corridors, flashing lights, and crowded markets, a neutral hub for traders and wanderers. Jeho stepped off the ship, his jacket patched and his rifle hidden under it. Beside him walked Nari, her blue skin covered by a hooded cloak to hide her Solari features. Her glowing eyes peeked out, curious but cautious. The Zykar tracker was still on the ship's hull, and Jeho needed parts to remove it, but danger lurked in every corner. Stay close, Jeho said, his voice low. This place is rough, and Zykar spies could be anywhere. Nari nodded, her silver hair tucked under the hood. Her arm, still bandaged, was healing, but she moved carefully, leaning on Jeho when the crowd pressed in. The station hummed with life, aliens bartering, humans shouting, machines clanking. Nari's eyes widened at the chaos. Your people are so loud, she said, a small smile breaking through her nervousness. Solari markets are quiet, all gestures and whispers. Jeho chuckled, guiding her through a narrow alley. Loud's how we survive. Keeps the bad guys guessing. He liked her curiosity, the way she saw wonder in things he took for granted. She was different from anyone he'd known, graceful even in a dingy station. They reached a repair shop, its shelves packed with gears and wires. Jeho haggled with the owner, a gruff alien with 4 arms, trading salvage for a tool to disable the tracker. Nari watched, fascinated by Jeho's quick talk and sharp wit. "You're good at this," she said as they left, clutching the tool. "Years of practice," Jeho said, scanning the crowd. His eyes caught a figure, a tall, cloaked shape with a Zykar's telltale claw peeking out. "We've got company," he muttered, pulling Nari behind a stall. The spy didn't see them, but Jeho's gut told him they were being watched. To blend in, they slipped into a crowded bar, its air thick with smoke and music. Jeho ordered drinks, water for Nari, something stronger for himself, and found a corner table. Nari sipped her water, her eyes darting to the humans dancing and laughing. "What's that?" she asked, pointing at a couple spinning to a fast beat. "Dancing," Jeho said. "Humans do it for fun. Or to show off." Nari tilted her head. "Show off? Like a fight?" Jeho laughed, the sound rare and warm. "Not quite. Want to try?" He was joking, but Nari's eyes lit up. "Maybe later," she said, her smile teasing. Jeho felt a warmth he hadn't in years, not since he lost someone he loved, a woman taken in a raid, leaving him alone. Nari's light was pulling him out of that dark place, and it scared him as much as it thrilled him. They talked, their voices soft under the bar's noise. Nari asked about human food, music, stories. Jeho shared bits of his life, scavenging, dodging pirates, surviving. She listened, her glowing eyes fixed on him. Then she spoke of her own pain. "I'm afraid," she said, her voice barely audible. "My father trusts me to help our people, but I crashed, got caught. What if I fail them again?" Jeho leaned closer, his gruff voice gentle. "You're here, fighting. That's not failure. You're tougher than you think." He thought of his own losses, the guilt he carried. "We all mess up. Keep going anyway." Nari's hand rested near his, her fingers brushing his knuckles. "You keep going, too," she said. "That's why I trust you." Jeho's heart skipped, but before he could reply, a crash broke the moment. 3 rough-looking aliens stood at their table, their eyes locked on Nari's hood. "Solari," one hissed, a Zykar informant by his claw. "You're worth a lot." The bar went quiet, heads turning. Jeho stood, his hand near his hidden rifle. "Walk away," he said, his voice cold. Nari tensed, but her eyes were sharp, ready. The lead informant lunged, but Jeho was faster. He grabbed the alien's arm, twisting it, and shoved him into a table. The other 2 charged, and chaos erupted. Nari ducked a swing, grabbing a bottle and smashing it over one's head. Jeho fought like a storm, his fists and boots a blur, but he kept Nari in sight, shielding her. "Run," he shouted, clearing a path. Nari grabbed his hand, and they bolted through the crowd, dodging chairs and fists. They reached the bar's back exit, bursting into an alley. Jeho pulled her behind a crate, their breaths fast in the cold air. The informants didn't follow, but the station wasn't safe anymore. "You okay?" Jeho asked, checking her for injuries. Nari nodded, her hood falling back. Her silver hair glowed under a flickering light. "You fought for me," she said, her voice soft. "Again." "Had to," Jeho said, his heart racing, not just from the fight. "You're not bad in a scrap yourself." She laughed, a sound like music. They hurried back to the Wanderer, slipping through shadows to avoid more spies. On the ship, Jeho worked on the tracker, his hands steady but his mind on Nari. She sat nearby, watching, her presence calming him. That night, Jeho woke from a nightmare, his lost love, screaming as raiders took her. He sat up, sweating, his breath ragged. Nari, sleeping nearby, stirred. She saw his face and moved closer, her glowing eyes gentle. "Bad dream?" she asked. He nodded, unable to speak. Nari hesitated, then sang a Solari lullaby, her voice soft and clear, like a breeze over water. The melody wrapped around Jeho, easing the pain in his chest. He listened, his eyes locked on hers, the nightmare fading. When she finished, the silence was warm, their connection deeper than words. "Thank you," Jeho said, his voice rough. Nari smiled, her hand brushing his. Neither pulled away. The Wanderer was repaired, the tracker gone, but the Zykar were still hunting. Jeho and Nari were bound now, their shared pain and trust forging something new. They weren't just running anymore, they were fighting together, and neither wanted to let go. The Wanderer glided through the dark, its engines quiet after leaving the space station. Jeho sat at the controls, his sharp eyes scanning the stars. Nari, the blue-skinned Solari girl, worked at a console nearby, her silver hair glowing under the ship's soft lights. They had removed the Zykar tracker, but Jeho's gut told him the mercenaries weren't done. The Wanderer was fast, but the Zykar were relentless, hunting Nari for ransom. The small ship was their only refuge, and Jeho was ready to fight to keep it that way. A sharp alarm broke the silence. The scanner lit up, showing a Zykar warship and a swarm of drones closing in. They had tracked the Wanderer to an asteroid field, a maze of spinning rocks and dust. Jeho cursed, his hands tightening on the controls. "They found us," he said. "Hold on, Nari." Nari's glowing eyes widened, but she nodded, her face set. "What do we do?" she asked, her voice steady despite the fear. "Fight," Jeho said, banking the ship into the asteroid field. The Wanderer weaved between boulders, its shields sparking as small rocks hit. The Zykar warship followed, its dark hull gleaming, while drones darted ahead, firing red bolts that lit the dark. Jeho piloted with fierce focus, dodging shots and spinning through tight gaps. The Wanderer groaned, but it held. Nari moved to the comms panel, her fingers quick. "I can jam their signals," she said. "It'll mess up their drones." She sent a burst of static, and the drones wobbled, their aim off. It wasn't enough to stop them, but it gave Jeho room to breathe. "Good work," he said, glancing at her. Nari's courage, her quick thinking, made his heart race in a way he couldn't ignore. They were a team, and he wasn't letting the Zykar take her. The warship fired a heavy blast, shaking the Wanderer. Shields dropped to half, and Jeho gritted his teeth. "We can't outgun them," he said. "We need help." Nari's eyes lit up. "My people. I can call a Solari fleet." She worked the comms, sending a coded message. After a tense moment, a reply crackled through. "They're coming," she said, "but they're hours away." Jeho's mind raced. Hours were too long. He needed a plan now. He remembered a trick from his scavenging days, rigging tech to fool enemies. "Nari, keep jamming their signals." "I've got an idea." He dove into the ship's systems, rerouting power to the reactor. "If I overload the distress beacon, it'll look like a dying ship," he said. "The Zykar are greedy. They'll come close to check." He rigged the beacon to emit a fake signal, broadcasting it into the asteroid field. Nari watched, her hands still on the comms. "Will it work?" she asked. "It better," Jeho said, a grim smile on his face. He hid the Wanderer behind a massive asteroid, powering down to avoid detection. The fake signal pulsed, a lure in the dark. The Zykar took the bait. The warship slowed, its drones circling the signal's source, an empty spot among the rocks. Jeho waited, his heart pounding. "Now," he whispered. He triggered a small explosive he'd planted in a salvage crate, left floating near the signal. The blast erupted, sending shards of metal into the drones. 3 exploded, their wreckage spinning away. The warship rocked, caught in the shockwave. Nari cheered, her voice bright. "You did it!" "Not yet," Jeho said, powering up the Wanderer. He flew out from hiding, firing the ship's weak lasers at the warship's exposed sensors. The Zykar scrambled, their signals still jammed by Nari's work. The drones, confused, crashed into asteroids, their numbers dwindling. The warship's comms crackled to life. The Zykar commander's voice was harsh, angry. "Human, you cannot win. Give us the girl." Jeho leaned into the comms, his voice cold. You're losing. Leave, or we keep fighting. He glanced at Nari, her glowing eyes locked on him. Something shifted in his chest. He'd been alone for years, guarding his heart after loss. But Nari was here, brave and kind, and he couldn't lose her. Nari, he said, his voice softer, I care about you. I'm not letting them take you. Nari's face softened, her eyes shining. I'm not leaving you, she said. We fight together. Her words were a vow, steady and sure. Jeho felt a warmth he hadn't known in years, a spark that scared and thrilled him. The Zykar fired again, but their aim was off, their systems in chaos. Jeho dodged, weaving through the asteroids. Nari kept jamming, her hands steady despite the shaking ship. The warship was hurt, its drones nearly gone. Jeho saw his chance. He flew close, firing at the warship's engines. A direct hit sparked, and the massive ship slowed, smoke trailing. The Zykar commander's voice came again, weaker now. Enough, he growled. We withdraw. The warship turned, its remaining drones following. They vanished into the dark, defeated. Jeho exhaled, slumping in his seat. The Wanderer was battered but whole. Nari unbuckled her straps and moved to him, her hand finding his. We did it, she said, her voice trembling with relief. Jeho looked at her, his guard down. Her blue skin glowed, her silver hair framing her face. Without thinking, she leaned in and kissed him, her lips soft and warm. Jeho froze, then kissed her back, his heart open for the first time in years. The kiss was quick but deep, a promise sealed in the quiet cabin. We're not done, Nari said, pulling back, her eyes bright. My people are coming. We'll face the future together. Jeho nodded, a rare smile on his face. Together, he said. He took her hand, their fingers laced. The Wanderer drifted in the asteroid field, safe for now. The Zykar were gone, but the Solari fleet was coming. Jeho and Nari had fought and won, their bond stronger than ever. Whatever came next, they were ready, their love alight in the dark. The Wanderer floated in the asteroid field, its hull scratched but strong after the battle with the Zykar. Jeho sat on the bridge, his hands resting on the controls, his dark eyes calm but bright. Nari, the blue-skinned Solari girl, stood beside him, her silver hair glowing under the ship's lights. Her hand brushed his, a quiet reminder of their kiss, their bond forged in danger. The Zykar were gone, retreated in defeat, but the fight had changed them both. They waited now, the stars their only company, for the Solari fleet Nari had called. A soft beep broke the silence. The scanner lit up, showing sleek, elegant ships approaching, Solari vessels, their hulls curved like waves and shimmering with soft green light. Nari's face lit up, her glowing eyes wide. They're here, she said, her voice warm with relief. She squeezed Jeho's hand, and he felt a spark, the same one that had grown since he saved her. The lead ship hailed them, its comms crackling. A Solari woman appeared on the screen, her blue skin and silver hair like Nari's, but her face older, lined with authority. Nari, my daughter, she said, her voice trembling. You're safe. Mother, Nari said, stepping closer to the screen. I'm alive because of Jeho. He saved me. The woman's eyes turned to Jeho, sharp but grateful. Human, you have our thanks. You are a hero to our people. Jeho shifted, uncomfortable with praise. Just did what was right, he said, his voice gruff. Nari smiled at him, her pride clear, and he felt that spark again, warmer now. The Solari fleet escorted the Wanderer to a nearby outpost, a glowing station orbiting a quiet planet. The station was beautiful, its halls lined with crystal and soft lights, a far cry from the gritty places Jeho knew. Solari greeted them, their voices musical, their eyes curious about the human who saved their diplomat's daughter. Nari walked beside Jeho, her cloak gone, her blue skin shining. She was home, but her hand stayed near his, a silent promise. At a grand chamber, Nari's family met them. Her mother, tall and regal, hugged Nari tightly, tears in her glowing eyes. Her father, a diplomat with a calm voice, shook Jeho's hand. You've done more than save my daughter, he said. You've shown us humans are brave, loyal. We offer you a home here, a place among us. Jeho paused, the offer heavy. The Solari were kind, their world safe and bright. He could live easy, leave scavenging behind. But he looked at the wanderer docked outside, its patched hole a map of his life, alone, tough, free. Then he looked at Nari, her eyes locked on him, and knew his choice. "Thank you," he said, "but I'm a wanderer. The stars are my home." Nari stepped forward, her voice firm. "Then I'm going with him." Her parents gasped, but she held up a hand. "Jeho showed me courage, freedom. I want that life, with him." Her mother frowned, but her father's eyes softened. "You've grown, Nari," he said. "We trust you." He turned to Jeho. "Keep her safe." Jeho nodded, his heart full. "Always." The Solari gave them supplies, food, tech, even upgrades for the Wanderer. Mechanics added new shields, faster engines, and a sleek console for Nari to work her comms. The station buzzed with talk of the human and Solari who fought together, their story spreading. Some Solari whispered of new alliances with humans, inspired by Jeho's grit and Nari's choice. Their romance, unlikely and bold, was changing how the galaxy saw both races. Jeho and Nari returned to the Wanderer, its cabin now feeling like home. Nari sat in the co-pilot's seat, her tablet glowing with star charts. "Where to?" she asked, her smile bright. Jeho leaned back, his gruff face soft. "Somewhere new. Got any ideas?" Nari laughed, a sound like music. "A nebula, maybe." "I heard they're beautiful." "Beautiful, huh?" Jeho said, his eyes on her. "I'm looking at something like that already." Nari blushed, her blue skin shimmering, and they both laughed, the sound filling the cabin. The Wanderer left the outpost, its engines roaring as it climbed into the stars. Jeho piloted, his hands steady, while Nari worked the comms, her voice humming a Solari tune. The ship soared toward a vibrant nebula, its clouds swirling with red, blue, and gold. The colors danced on the bridge, lighting their faces as they laughed, planned, dreamed. Jeho thought of his past, the loss that had closed his heart. Nari had opened it, her courage and kindness a light he hadn't expected. He glanced at her, her silver hair catching the nebula's glow, and felt whole. Nari, inspired by his human spirit, felt free for the first time, no longer bound by duty. She chose this life, this man, and it gave her purpose. The Wanderer flew deeper into the nebula, its hull shining against the colorful clouds. On the bridge, Jeho and Nari shared a quiet moment, their hands touching. "Wherever we go," Jeho said, his voice soft, "we're home." Nari nodded, her glowing eyes warm. "Home," she said, leaning closer. The stars stretched out, endless and bright. The Wanderer carried them forward, a small ship with a big story. Jeho and Nari were ready for new adventures, their love a spark that lit the galaxy. They had fought, trusted, and won, and now they faced the future together, fearless and free. The end.